Sometimes the third dimension is just an annoyance.
This is all the exercise I need.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst 3D movies. For this list, we're looking at movies that either utilize 3D technology to pretty dim effect, or happen to be released in 3D but were bad regardless.
I am running it right into the ground.
These films were looking to rake in the big bucks with the extra cost of a 3D movie ticket, but the added price didn't mean added quality.
Be careful what you wish for.
For these films, 3D should have been 3 don't. Disclaimer, we are actually presenting the 2D versions of the films for our countdown, so no need to bust out the polarized glasses.
All we gotta do is fire up this bad boy.
Number 10, Resident Evil, Afterlife.
I'm not on the menu.
Much like the song that never ends, this movie franchise is persistent.
Hurts, doesn't it? Well, that's just the start of the bad news.
By the end of the third installment, you'd think the filmmakers would step away from the video game turned film series, but alas, they upped the ante for number 4.
I think technically it's called crashing.
Throwing 3D tech at a faltering franchise is a good way to give it renewed energy, but it does nothing for the film's likability or iffy storyline. Afterlife needs less 3D and more of a purpose. As in, why was it even made?
What is that smell?
Must have burrowed up from the sewers.
Number 9, R.I.P.D.
Hell yeah! Let's do this!
The premise of the film seemed like it might have worked. A couple of supernatural cops clean up the mean streets in the afterlife. Plus, it's got Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges. Okay, unfortunately, it turned out to be a colossal stinker, with really useless 3D to boot. The special effects in the film seem to suffer from what we can only assume was underfunding, and the 3D appears to have been thrown in as an effort to recoup costs. It did not succeed.
We're just going to have to learn to sit on your regret and pain until it turns into a dull, persistent ache.
I'm afraid I bring you sad tidings.
Number 8, John Carter.
Tars Tarkas. Tarkus.
With a budget that can only be described as wasteful, this movie did a full gainer into Flopland.
Stop it!
Based on its price tag of $250 million, everything about John Carter should have been impressive, including the 3D. However, the 3D is just blah. For such a CG-heavy film, you'd think it would fully capitalize on all of the movie-going delights 3D movies can offer. Instead, it just fails to deliver, much like the interplanetary adventure film itself.
We must not offend. Let us go!
Number 7, Alice in Wonderland.
It's only a dream, Alice. Nothing can harm you there. But if you get too frightened, you can always wake up. Like this.
Ow!
On its own, it's not a horrible movie. Tim Burton's take on the Lewis Carroll classic is dark, of course, but it's also brimming with some really interesting visuals and cool special effects. They honestly could have left it in all of its 2D glory, but it seems that the powers that be wanted to jump on the 3D bandwagon.
Perhaps we shouldn't. We decided we should.
In reality, the 3D comes across as an afterthought or affectation instead of a necessary or even welcome feature.
Wait a minute. Best take her to the White Queen. She'll be safe there. Spoon.
Number 6, Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Hey, now cut that out right now. That's not funny.
It makes sense for a horror movie to want to utilize some fun 3D elements to highlight their story.
That was close.
With the prospect of movie blood and axe-wielding murderers lunging at the audience, it has all the makings of an exciting movie-going experience. Unfortunately, that didn't quite pan out here.
You give up?
What could have ostensibly been a really creative and thrilling use of 3D just ended up being a gimmick for an otherwise awful film.
Well,
First we take our clothes off, and then you get on top of me, or I could get on top of you.
Take a machete to this one, Jason. Number 5, Spy Kids 3D, Game Over.
Put on these glasses, and you'll enter the world of the game.
As far as kids' movies go, this one is pretty crappy in general.
I survived?
Not exactly. That is your life count. After taking heavy damage, you lose a life.
What happens when I hit 0?
Game over.
Somehow, this is the third in a franchise of similarly bad movies, but this time they busted out the big guns with the 3D. Too bad it wasn't enough to make the film interesting in any way. Even more surprising, there's a 4th installment that makes this flick look like Citizen Kane.
And why do we have to watch the baby?
Technically, I'm watching. Sometimes you're the dog, sometimes you're the baby entertainment center.
It's conceivable that the fish could become confused.
Number 4, Piranha 3DD.
I'm not afraid of some punk-ass water.
This movie somehow did not end up going straight to the Sci-Fi Channel. It's also somehow a sequel, albeit a horrible follow-up to its somewhat self-aware predecessor.
Oh, God, man. She's so wet!
What doesn't work this time around isn't just the vapid storyline or the unfunny jokes.
Remember, Double D swims free.
It's the notion that 3D boobs were supposed to be enough to lure audiences in. And in this age of internet porn, it simply doesn't measure up. Number 3, Jaws 3D. The first Jaws movie was a pretty tough act to follow, but somehow Hollywood found a way. By the time the third one rolled out, it seemed the filmmakers pretty much knew they were scraping the bottom of the barrel. So why not throw in some 3D?
You want to take the money and run to Venezuela with old Mikey, huh?
¿Quieres un pescado?
At the very least, it offered something for audiences to focus on other than the ridiculousness of the film itself. Oh, did we forget to mention the part about how it takes place at SeaWorld? Ridiculous.
Come on, you'll love it, it's fun.
Number 2, Clash of the Titans. This film, and its follow-up, Wrath of the Titans, went out not with a bang, but a whimper. Between the Titans' lore and Greek mythology, there's more than enough material to make for a mind-blowingly good film, and even better 3D effects. What audiences actually got, however, was a poorly written script and even worse 3D.
Their insolence has a price.
It's fairly clear that the 3D was added to maximize profits, which is an even less compelling reason to see the film. You know what is compelling, though? Krakens. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable, or in this case dishonorable, mentions.
Unlucky.
A feast for my sword. A feast for the Guala!
Hurley, get your butt out of my face.
Get your face out of my butt!
No school, no discipline, no rules. And most important, no dreams.
Dreams can destroy you, can't they? My instincts tell me that is so.
Number 1, The Last Airbender.
Bring me all your elderly!
Fans who were excited about the potential awesomeness of a live-action Avatar movie were soon met with disappointment after disappointment. By the time the movie actually made it to theaters, it was a hot, steaming mess of awful.
Why is your hair white, young lady? You look very odd.
Nothing about the movie redeemed it to audiences, from its bad dialogue, bad casting, and laughable 3D.
It wasn't very smart.
No amount of special effects or 3D technology could make up for the fact that this movie probably shouldn't have even been made in the first place.
They had his chance. They missed it.
Do you agree with our list? What movie do you think had the worst 3D? For more entertaining top 10s published every day, Be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
You don't want to leave, do you?